Look, guys, I understand it's a very unpopular opinion, but damn, I've been starting to question if Bernie Sanders actually understands how power works in politics. And I'm not saying this to attack him. I agree with 99% of what he has said for the past 30 years, and that 1% is just serving as a guardrail in case he says some really bad stuff along the way, which means I probably agree with him 100%. But here's the thing, he kept ragging on and is still ragging on about quote unquote the middle class. Now, the policies he have for the middle class, I feel, and no, I don't feel, I know for a fact will benefit everyone in the American society. In fact, any society where that can be properly implemented and adjusted along the way for change. But that having been said, why is he still obsessed about the middle class label after the most recent election have just proven undoubtedly that the middle class does not give a damn about the middle class? And in fact, the middle class label is just another part of identity politics. It's the same thing as being white, being black, being a woman, being a man. And of course, one would say something like, but you can change the fact that you're a middle class. You can become the upper class, you can become the lower class, you can become the upper middle income class, whatever else. But that does not make it not an identity. Because the problem with the working class is not with the identity of the working class, and it's not with the identity of the existence of the upper class or the lower class. The problem of why the middle class is and has been eating each other for the past, I was going to say 30 years, but no, way longer. This pre-Sanders, this has existed since humanity has existed, since the idea of class, no, predating the idea of class, that the middle class has been constantly trying to eat themselves. Okay, and this is not a problem with class itself. This is a problem with beliefs. Okay, that's the real B word. The B word that Donald Trump was gonna call Kamala Harris is not the word bitch. Okay, it's belief. Belief is the root cause of this insane self-sabotage. You know why? I'll give you the truth. Okay, and maybe as a senator he can't say it as bluntly as I can, but I'm gonna give you the truth. From the election results, okay, let's just not say middle class. Let's just say everyone who is not in the upper class. Okay, and let's say the upper class means the top 20%. So whoever that's not in that category includes the upper middle class, the lower middle class, and the lower class, and the bottom 10% and people who live in destitution and whatnot. Okay, let's call it the 80% and the 20%. Okay, and 20% is already giving a lot. Like I really wanted to say 1%. There's a big difference between 1% and 20%, but let's keep it 20%. Okay, 80 out of the 80% of the people, okay, a good 60 to 70% of the 80%, which makes up more than 50% if the math goes right in total, in terms of percentage total. These people, 60%, 70% of these bottom 80% of the people, they don't think of themselves as the middle class. They think of themselves as the upper class having been dealt a bad hand in life. Oh, you have to understand this concept, Senator Sanders. It's not that their identity is truly that of middle class. Of course we know that. Who doesn't know that? It's the same problem with black Republicans. You can tell them, look, you are black, you're not white, they don't want you, they don't like you. These white supremacists want you dead. But guess what? These black Republicans, these Coonarians, will not understand. It's not that they don't understand the physical material properties of the black skin. No, of course they're not blind, literally. It's just that internally they deeply believe they are white. The problem is not identity of the middle class, it's the beliefs being held by the middle class. That is the problem. The problem is not economy. Economy exacerbates the problem. It surfaces the problem in ways that are much worse in a time where the economy is good. But the problem has always existed, and is independent of left or right. The fact that there exists a huge, and I dare say, although I have no statistical proof, a majority to a vast majority of the people in the middle class or on and about that area, whoever is not in the strict upper class, really think of themselves as billionaires coming up. The reason they voted for a man as egregious as Donald J. Trump is because that's who they see themselves as. These Hispanic men thinking, oh, he won't deport me. I know he said he would deport Hispanics, regardless of whether they enter legally, regardless if they were naturalized citizens, regardless if they're second generation, third generation of Hispanic descent, whom were all legal immigrants, we're going to deport your ass. It's not that they're deaf. It's not that they're literally deaf, like their ears can't take in the message. No. The reason is because deep down, they identify as this rugged billionaire who is above the law. Therefore, whatever law Donald Trump tries to implement, they think that don't apply to them. Because they view themselves as Trump. That's why they're voting a lawless, above the law dictator billionaire types, whom he is actually not, but let's say he is. Because that's how they think. They identify, and it's got nothing to do with their actual identity. They believe they're this Bruce Wayne type person. They believe they're this hardworking Iron Man type. And you can tell them all you want about the fact that they're Hispanics, the fact that they are seen as the Untermensch, the low lives in white American circles. They don't care. And it's not that they don't care because they're stupid. Some of them are. I'm not trying to excuse that and try to take that out of the variables. Some of them are. The problem is with their belief. They believe they are Donald Trump in the making. And why would they, of course, vote against their own future, whom they see themselves as? Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? And this is why I say, Senator Sanders, with all due respect, he is still clueless about power. He is still clueless of politics. This has got nothing to do with whether I agree with his policies. Policy is not politics. These are not the same thing. Please don't confuse the two. He is great on the policy. I agree with every damn word and the way the words are placed when he speaks about policies. You will not find one video, one clip of me going against that, but he does not. He is leading our voters astray unintentionally. He's not a grifter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not attacking him and try to make conspiracy theories about him. He is just clueless about power. He doesn't understand that power is not about identity. Power is not about situation. Power is about belief. It's the belief that controls people. It's the narrative. It's the narrative that controls people. It's not their situation. And until we get a leader that really understands this, who is popular amongst all of us, as in everyone who's not an alt-righter, I very much welcome everyone on the center, even though, it seems like the left is very interested in gatekeeping, and that's fine. But if you want to win, and first of all, you are not united amongst yourselves because you don't understand what the real problem is, and second of all, you don't have enough people, even if you do, You might want to open that up, but that's another thing, okay? Listen to this. Why would suburban white women still vote for who JD Vance is running for, which is Donald Trump, after JD Vance and Donald Trump attack them relentlessly? You think it's about you think it's about class? You think it's about gender? I can tell it's not. It's about belief. It's very simple. Do you want me to explain to you? Because I will. But I'm not sure if you're ready. You guys ready? Oh, it's very simple. Because these suburban Gen X white women, most of them, I dare even say vast majority, for those who don't admit they probably are, they just don't want to admit it, are deeply ingrained in evangelical circles or upbringing. And what does the Bible say about women? Not just women, okay, just the world overall. Just summarize it in basic terms. They believe they are daughters of God, and by that, they believe, okay, metaphorically or literally, whatever the case may be, it don't matter. That distinction doesn't matter in this explanation here, okay? They believe they are the rib of Adam, okay? They believe God is up there trying to take care of them. And they believe because Donald Trump seems like the God daddy type, that they must have faith in this type of person. It's very simple. It's just very simple. They look at all these black people, they look at all these Hispanic people as not of the same godly, holy, sacred origin as her. And it wouldn't matter if she is a subservient piece of Adam. It wouldn't matter if they're second-class citizens to men, to the white male supremacists. It don't matter. Because their core belief is that they are the daughters of God. That they have a connection with God, and these black people, in their genetics, in their making, in the Holy Scriptures, or whatever they interpret as Holy Scripture, and if they could even find any evidence of that, but that's what they believe. See, it's not about evidence. It's not about evidence. It's what they believe. They believe the white race. Of course, they won't say that. They won't say that, but that's what they believe because the results confer to that conclusion. They believe the white race is a God-chosen race. And of course, they are white. And you would tell them, oh, but you're a woman. And the Bible hates you. And your man hates you. They all think you're a second-class citizen. They don't care. Because that's not their belief is not in their womanness. Their belief is in their whiteness. And this is what Kamala Harris got wrong. And I don't blame her. I got that wrong too. I got that wrong. We all got that wrong. We can't blame her. But now, after the fact, if we're still confused that the problem is with identity, the problem is with working class, middle class, then you just insist on being false. You just don't like to admit your mistake. And your mistake is you thought people care about their concrete identity. No, they don't. They only care about who they believe they are and who they believe they are, who they believe they will be. It's about the belief. And here's another segment for you. What are we going to do about it? Well, we must first understand where belief comes from. Belief, for the most part, comes from culture. Now, you may attempt to resist this by saying, I'm pretty original with the culture. Well, you could be, but you'll be in the vast minority, and I'm pretty sure you know this. For the most part, as much as there's commonality amongst human conscience, a lot of it has been tainted by the culture we are brought up in. So culture is a factor in belief. But what informs culture? Okay, what informs culture? It's very simple. It's information. Okay, now you see things are really, really going wrong. You know why? Because the right wing has won the culture war. And before that, they won the info war. They literally have a platform called InfoWar and was bought out by the Yanni. And I'm not ashamed to say this, but I think The Onion might have done more good for the left and for America than Bernie Sanders post-election. And I'm not saying this to dunk on him. I'm just saying this as a matter of fact perceived by me. Okay? You could disagree on that. Because if you lose the info war, you're going to lose the culture war. And if you're going to lose the culture war, you're going to lose the war of beliefs. And when you lose the war of beliefs, identity means nothing. Because people don't believe in that. I, for example, believe that I'm a human first and foremost, and only after the fact that I'm male and Chinese. My belief has a primary root in humanity first. But that is just my culture. It's not my overarching culture. I'm the minority of that culture. But it's my personal culture. You know why? Because I sought out information, books, podcasts, different medias, right? I sought out different circles, friends, people, conversations, dialogues, containing that type of information which educates me into a different culture, to be a culturally distinct person within this metaculture. And that has informed me to become human-centric instead of gender-centric or race-centric or nationalistic-centric or whatever other centric thing, religious-centric, whatever else. And that needs information. But who controls culture? Who won the culture war? The right. Why have they won it? Because they control information. Now, it was, I believe, Gavin McInnes in one of the debate with Destiny. Horrible debate, by the way. I don't know why I even spent time doing that, watching that. But he said something that captured my attention, and because that is true, and as much as I disagree with everything that comes out of his mouth, Gavin McInnes' mouth, this part is true, okay? He said, economy is downstream of politics, and politics is downstream of culture. Look, he's right. He is right about that. But culture is downstream of information. But what's upstream of information? See, this is what Bernie Sanders and a lot of these, more socialist types, they kind of just don't get it. It's either they don't get it or they're trying to do it in their own socialist way, and even despite the fact that it's taking too long, it's kind of failing, they still have this false hope that it will work. What's upstream of information? It's very simple. Okay? It's called power. Yes, power. But power has two branches, generally. You could split it finer, but power in general has two branches. The first branch is soft power. The second branch is hard power. Or rather, let's flip it the other way. First branch is hard power. The second branch is soft power. What is hard power? It's pretty simple. The police and the military. Okay, guns in your face. Or something along those lines. Okay, that's hard power. You understand what hard power is. So what is soft power? Okay, soft power is money and resources. That is soft power. So let's look at the left, okay? The left has had pretty good control, okay? As in politically, pretty good control, rather stable and in hands of the global liberal agenda and so the whole metaculture here. But the left really hates the police and really, really, really hates the military. Okay? So we could have gotten both of those, but we never did because we hate them. We hate power. The left actively hates power. Okay, they hate hard powers, which is the police and the military. The left is not concerned about how can we appropriate the military, how can we appropriate the police force to adopt a culture more aligned with egalitarianism, aligned with openness, aligned with a systematic, dutiful, accountable carrying out of law and operations. No, we pummel the police. We attack the military. We shame the men and women in service, whatever line of service they are in. And the right, of course, they don't believe in the actual well-being of police officers and soldiers. They don't They're the first people who don't believe in that. But what they do is very simple. They keep appealing to the egos of the hard powers. And they got pretty damn good control of hard power now. Okay, but it's not over, right? You got soft power. What is soft power? Resources and money. And guess who the left hates even more than the military and the police? Guess who they hate even more? Billionaires. Oh no. Oh no. They hate people with money. Now, here's the problem. If you don't have money, how do you control the media? This is a fair question to Mr. Bernie Sanders, to whoever that supports him. Again, it's not an attack on him, nor his fan base. It's just to tell you what I believe, and I think it's true. And you probably think that's true too, but you're resistant to being convinced because you've held so long this belief in people-oriented socialism that you lost track of the fact that you don't live under a system that enables that to happen. Otherwise, it would have happened long ago. And for however long it takes for me to convince you to be out of that lucid dream and come back to reality where there are consequences of not understanding reality, I'm just here to tell you the truth. A people-organized movement where there's no money to support it, of course without the hard powers too, just on the soft power part, is unlikely to succeed. When was the last time you saw Bernie Sanders shake hand and have a good friendly conversation with Mark Cuban? Have you ever seen them photographed side by side? I don't think I've seen that. Maybe that exists, but certainly it's not shoved in my face. Right? And how did Donald Trump come to win? Do you think, what do you think? Do you think the fact that Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it into right-wing propaganda central and non-stop pushing MAGA lunacy and Trump sanewashing every day to millions, to dozens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, every day, every hour, every minute, do you think that might have helped in Donald Trump's rise again back into presidency? Do you think it would have helped? I think it certainly did a lot. In fact, I think if not for the fact that Elon Musk bought Twitter, Donald Trump would have lost. Because as much as it looks like a landslide, it is a landslide, don't get me wrong. The popular vote margin was like 1.4%. And the power of Twitter to connect with so many people and form an organized, again, centralized place for information disposal and dissemination, and again, pulling people together and drumming up this lunacy for Donald J. Trump is a indispensable variable to his victory. Now, my question is, if our representative refused to even stand in the same room with a person like Mark Cuban, what is our chances of winning the next election? I'm just asking this as an honest question. You hate billionaires. I understand that. It's not like I don't understand that. It's not like I'm a billionaire. It's not like I know any. But my question is a simple question. If we can't... Mark Cuban once said that, he really wanted to buy Fox News, but he really don't have the money to do so. It would be nice if the left can somehow, of course, I'm not saying this is possible, but it would really be nice that if the left could organize, pull together, and fund Mark Cuban and get him to take down Fox News or Newsmax or TikTok, or be a major stockholder in shareholder in TikTok. I think that would have helped, Don't you think so? But how can we get to that? How can you and I do as much as Elon Musk can do? I mean, he's quite literally like fine-tuning the knobs and changing lines of code, like getting people to do that, of course, and turn the system in his favor. And however much you want to resist as the people below that system, you are still under his control. And when money isn't on your side, what can you do now? Just what can you do? And this is a legitimate question. It's not about praising the billionaires. It's not about, oh, these people are good. Okay, again, going back to the point I made in the beginning. Okay, these like Bernie bro types. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not trying to put y'all in a bucket, but the loudest proportions of y'all certainly do seem to paint yourself in that type of stereotype. So I'm gonna address those people. Not all, but I'm gonna address those people though and call them Bernie Bros. Bernie Bros are not every Bernie supporter, but I'm just gonna call out the Bernie Bros, okay? They have this, again, identity politics-ish view of class. Oh, the upper class, the middle class. The most racist people are in the middle class. What are you talking about? The most sexist people, racist, some of the most egregious, you will find them in the middle class. The rich don't, I mean, some of them do. A lot of them simply couldn't give a damn if you're a man, woman, black, white. They just care about money. And so goes for the destitute. They don't give a damn if you're white or black. The only type of people, not only as in, I'm not saying this in a strict only, but you will find the type of people in the middle class who shoot themselves in the foot just to trigger a lip, just to piss off the blacks, just to humiliate women. This is the type of people you find in the middle class. Which rich person would do that? Which poor person? I mean, like dead ass poor. I don't mean like Hispanic people picking potatoes from the fields and still get to live in a rental apartment or live with their, their spouses and their children. I mean people. I mean like homeless people. I mean people who are like hungry all the time. I mean people who are legitimately homeless. I mean, do you think these people care about race and sex and your religion? They don't. It's the middle class. So why are we still talking about class? I'm not saying class don't matter. I'm not saying there's no analysis to be done about class and on class and off class. No, of course there is. I'll be a fool to say there isn't. But why is our focus not on belief? Because Mark Cuban, as much as he's of a different class than us, he shared a lot of beliefs. He shared more beliefs with us than some average Joe you'll pick off the streets. Because there's a good 50% chance he is, again, like I said, a person who believes he just an temporarily embarrassed millionaire. And one day he will become a private jet owner. Right? So why are we not pulling Mark Cuban to our side and say, you believe the same thing as I believe, so we are friends. And our class is not a barrier to our what? Our what? Belief. And this whole identitarian politics about class has been overblown by the left. It has. And the right is very happily capitalizing on this little advantage that we willfully give to them. Because now they won over the idiots and the racists and the sexists of the poor and the middle class. And they can come back and bite you and say, well, so are you saying if they're racist and sexist, they're no longer middle class? And now we are forced to accept these people because what? Because they're middle class? Do you think the black community is indebted to accept black Republicans? But Bernie Bros will have no choice but to accept these racists and sexists and make apologia to explain why they're racist and sexist. Oh, it's the billionaire. It's the, of course, yes. I'm not saying there isn't. And then when these words go to a pair of ears like Mark Cuban, what do you think is the message he hears? Who is the enemy here? Is it Mark Cuban or these racist people who imagine themselves to be this racist overlord and will vote for a racist overlord because that's who he believes he is and he's proud of it? And he will not acknowledge the fact that he is a middle class and he's not the racist overlord, but he's a target of the racist overlord. How are you going to deal with these people if your primary delineation is around class? And how are you going to gain power as the underclass without rallying people in the overclass? So that's my question to y'all. And that's a serious question. What are you going to do about power and belief? And I think it's time to stop. It's really time to stop. I'm not saying this to attack people on our side. We need unity, but we have to unite around the correct ideas. And the idea is about power and belief. Okay, you need power, you need concrete power to change material situations that will turn the dials in our favor. You need money. You need the police to be on our side. You need the military to be on our side. You need billionaires, more millionaires, more businesses, more corporations on our side. Okay? Again, that's not without trying to alienate intentionally the people who are not in those categories. And this is what we need. We need, first of all, we need more power. And we're already failing on that regard because we hate billionaires, we hate the police, we hate everyone with power. Everyone with power is bad. It's basically the way we do it. And because middle class and the poor don't have a lot of power, that's why we love them. Oh, all these other people with power, we hate them. And that's just insanity. You won't fix things like that. You just won't. And secondly, belief. We shouldn't just accept people because they look like us or they're in the same situation as us. That makes no sense because the people in the same situation are trying to hurt you. They don't want to improve their situation. They just like seeing you suffer. Your tears taste sweeter than the drink they could have bought if they spent that time working on their own projects. Just because people are in the same situation as you doesn't mean they have the same heart and the same goal and the same vision and the same values and the same hopes for the future of you, him, and everyone else. No. It's not the situation. It's not your biological makeup. And in fact, that's kind of racist, don't you think so? I mean, that's kind of fatalistic. It's kind of deterministic, don't you think so? It's very disempowering, isn't it? That you're in the middle class and all you can do now, you got this little ideological prison that traps you about your identity that you probably did not choose, that you were born into. And now you sort of can only accept people in the middle class. And not only that, you have to accept them no matter what, almost. Like, what type of prison is that? Isn't that ridiculous? And should we not be understanding towards the people who are fed up with this identity politics stuff around class and is shilling to the right? I feel like at some point I'm like, enough is enough, bro. Like, we need rich people just like we need the middle class. We need them because if they believe the same thing as we do and they have great power, we're going to use that to our advantage, not hate them. Like Mark Cuban, we need more people like Mark Cuban. We need to empower Mark Cuban, not disempower him, not try to control him and strip away his power and decentralize the amount of things he could do in one fell swoop. Not that. That's crazy. Why would you want to do that? But, I think the left is very lost right now. I don't think Bernie Sanders is a good figurehead to really get us to iron out what we really need today. And we have like another 4 years to really figure. Actually, no, we have like eternity to figure this out. But how long do you want to suffer? Just how long do you want to live under this dark, gloomy, hopeless like world? Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I don't care if people find my opinion objectionable, controversial, offensive, even although that's not the point of this video. Although I would have offended a few of you who are almost religiously dedicated to Bernie Sanders, the God Emperor of the left. But, the truth be the truth, man. I'm just here to tell you what I think is the truth. And I hope I've done a pretty good segment and maybe got you, even some of the hard-headed ones, to reconsider your position. Because we can't go on without power or belief and just stick with this identity politics BS about class. And this is not to discredit everything that has been said about class. No. But that cannot be our primary focus. Our primary focus right now is to gain enough power to control information and to control culture and to control politics with all of those and society at large. And we need people who have power already and whoever else that don't have power but believe in the same thing as we do. Not their class, not their sex, not their race, not their nationality, not their age, not their disability status, not their anything, not their career. I don't care about that. I care about their belief. Do they believe in an open and in an open, respectable, respectful society of dignity, joy, hope, happiness, peace, harmony, and prosperity? Do they believe in the sum of all those things and beyond? If they don't, I don't care if they're in the middle class. I don't care if they're poor. Why should I care when they don't care about nobody else because they look like me and they got similar situations? Are you nuts? And why should I reject people who do just because they're different? Are you nuts again? And of course, a lot of the people on the left would give very flimsy and just honestly broad stroke arguments. Oh, Mark Cuban can't really be good because he's a billionaire. There's no good billionaire. The only good billionaire is a dead billionaire. Oh my gosh. I mean, at that point you just can't reason with them. It's impossible. They're as religious as these suburban white women who voted for the people who oppressed them. They're just as religious and fanatical about that. And the only problem is their God is not a fictional character. It's Bernie Sanders, which might make things even worse because Bernie Sanders actually exists. So, I mean, I'm done, man. I'm just saying, like, this thing has to stop. This thing has to stop right now. We need to stop dividing people over things that honestly are not decisive for a better future for us. And those are power and belief. And when those two come together in the configuration we want, class, sex, race, nationality, age, ability, status, none of that should matter. None of that should matter, not one nada. And that's my message for today. Thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow.